my little geeks and freaks. I am currently recording this book review and my next book review today. I sound like shit. I just had my gastric sleeve a few days ago and I'm not fully recovered. I'm not even close at this point, which I did make a video on that already. But that's just my reasoning for this. I probably, in hindsight, should not be recording, but I would love to make sure I keep on schedule. And y'all just gotta have to deal with all this suffering, all this. So welcome back to my book bowl series, where I will go through a massive bowl of books and hopefully not lose my sanity along the way. Today's review is on the second book in the Sinners and Angels series called Villain Era by Luna Pierce. In this book, we continue to follow the lives and complex relationships between June and her 4 love interests. You heard that right, guys. It's 4 now. Simon Beckett has made a return, and I am here for it. The enemy from our last book, who saved June's life, is now her bodyguard. And spending almost every waking moment together is bound to have some impact on their relationship. I feel like Simon sees the darkness in June better than Dominic, Magnus, and Cohen see it. I think Dominic, Magnus, and Cohen are too busy trying to protect her from their lifestyle that they're too blinded to see it, whereas Simon doesn't want to shield her from the darkness. She wants to help her embrace it and go through what he calls her villain era. June does struggle a lot in this book. All the characters actually struggle a lot in this book. She feels guilty for her growing feelings for Simon. After all, she has everything she could ever want, and she feels like asking to add another addition to their relationship, especially somebody who is their enemy, might be a bit too much. But when their enemies come back to haunt them, enemies they thought they took care of and put in the past, June's life is once again in danger. And June isn't so sure she'll be lucky enough to survive this time around. With her life being in danger, she finds herself feeling all of these emotions she's been trying to suppress, including her budding feelings for her bodyguard. In the beginning, I don't really like how she's flirting with Simon. I felt like it was kind of, in some way, a betrayal to her 3 boyfriends, and it was also kind of torture to Simon. Simon has admitted his feelings for her, so I felt like it was a bit of a tease, and I felt bad for him. As the story goes on, I do understand why it happens, and I do understand her feelings and her confusion, so I get it a bit more, and I'm not as angry with her about it. It made sense as to why they were so close. I damn near cried when Simon was talking to June, and in his head he was thinking, "Take the bleeding fucking heart from my chest if it pleases you, June." I love seeing his perspective, and he's definitely a romantic, and it was actually really cute to see him say something like that or think something like that. It just goes to show how much he would give up for her. I mean, he's already given up so much for her, and he doesn't regret it. It was really upsetting to hear June detailing how her men have been constantly hurting her, neglecting her, breaking her heart. She didn't deserve that, and their reasoning, while in a way I understand it, was also stupid. They know the kind of person she is and how closed off she was to relationships and how she kept a wall between her and the world. This was the worst way to go about keeping her safe, because it messed with her. It really did. I normally wouldn't put my favorite quote this early on in the review, but I felt like while I'm talking about this, it really works to add this quote here, to really drive home the point of how June was really feeling about how she was treated. So my favorite quote is when June thinks to herself, "I believe they care about me, but more in an obligatory way than anything else. I feel more of a burden or a distraction than the woman they claim they'd lay their life down for." This is what their actions have led her to feel. She can't even fathom Simon sticking around because he wants to be with her. She thinks he's sticking around because he's forced to be with her, which is also heartbreaking. I did really love getting more of each character's backstory. So we did get more of June and Cohen's history and their backstories. We got most of Cohen's backstory in the last book, but seeing more of their history together really pulled it together. We see a bit more of Dominic's backstory, we see Simon's backstory, and we see Magnus's backstory, and it was It was cute. I mean, it wasn't cute. Their backstories are all really sad, but it was so nice to see that side of them and their history. I really liked getting more of their past. It made me love them so much more. It made them even more likable, even with the dumb shit that they're currently doing in the book. When I found out a bit more about who was threatening her and what it was related to, I damn near squealed. I don't want to give away too much spoilers because this book just seems like a whole damn spoiler, honestly. But let's just say that the person who tortured her in the last book is kind of responsible for what's happening to her now. Not completely, but yes, it's connected to him. He is the reason she's in danger again. Kind of, because technically she was in danger from the person who gave that guy orders. But again, I don't want to spoil too much. Just know that his boss was somebody that none of them ever expected. As the book progresses, June is just growing more confused about her growing feelings towards Simon because he is technically her boyfriend's enemy. But her statement is accurate. She says, "What did they expect when they pushed me away and into the arms of this man who would do anything for me? I would never act on it or betray our relationship, but it does make me question who cares for me more, my men or their enemy." I wish she would think about that all the time, because she would say that and then she would think Simon actually doesn't care for her and he's just there because he has to be. But that's besides the point. There are so many passages in this book that had me deep in my feels. And I was reading this while I was in the hospital recovering from surgery. My emotions and heart rate were all over the place, and I was like hopped up on medication. So it was quite an interesting time. When Simon states I'd smother her with so much fucking love that she'd never question my intentions the way she does with them. I'd put her above my career, above my fucking life. I'd never take her for granted, and I'd spend every day making sure she knew just how much she meant to me. 3 goddamn men, and none of them make her feel secure in their relationship. Not a single one notices the post-traumatic stress that plagues her dreams and haunts her waking hours. They don't see the weight she's lost, the way her light has dimmed since they came into her world. She loves them, but at what cost? For being criminals, they sure have hearts of gold. Simon noticing all of the little things about her makes me think he's very similar to Magnus, and he is very cute, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. One thing that bothers me, and I would like to know, is that there is this scene where Simon takes June to a fighting ring where men fight to the end, because he's seeing her darkness and her restlessness, and she asked for help to kind of set it free a little bit and give into it. But then they have to leave quickly because Dominic showed up and they couldn't get caught being there. If Dominic was so busy trying to figure out who was attacking the organization and protect June, why was he at this fighting ring? And they never talk about it. Like, it is never discussed why he was there. And she never even shows how annoyed she is that he's there when he could be spending time with her. So that was something that bothered me a little bit, but you know, it happens. I just wish that would have been explained. I'm glad to see that June is acknowledging that she's being a hypocrite with Cora and preventing her from exploring potential love interests, and I can appreciate that she's self-aware. However, it doesn't seem to stop her from ruining another potential relationship. She says she feels guilty and she wants to tell Cora, but she never seems to be able to find the right time. But I feel like that's just kind of BS. Like, there's always a time to do it. And I think it would make Cora safer and also understand her options and if she would still like to pursue somebody. I'm still disappointed with that situation. I think she's doing to Cora the same thing her men are doing to her, and she also acknowledges that, so she really shouldn't be doing that. Especially when Cora is unknowingly in the middle of very dangerous situations. Now, I've spoken a lot about June and her struggles throughout the book because she feels neglected and she feels alone and she's not sure of where she stands with her men. She thinks they don't love her anymore. But I would also like to go through what the 4 men in the book were struggling with, because they definitely did struggle too. Simon is struggling because he loves June, and he's forced to watch her wait for her men to love her and give her the attention she so desperately craves. He's forced to watch and wait for her to have feelings for him, and all he wants is to be with her. He can see their budding relationship forming, and it pains him because he believes that there's no chance of them ever being together, and he knows that. but he's willing to lay down his life for her without a second thought. But she doesn't believe that he actually cares for her because she's so emotionally hurt by the way her men are treating her. So it's causing that conflict between them. And he feels like surviving from the last book was torture because now he has to watch her be with other men when, again, all he wants is to be with her. And he thinks he would be better for her. But he's just happy to be near her and have any time he can with her in any form of relationship or bond, which is also really emotional. He believes that something with her is better than nothing with her. Honestly, my heart ached for Simon in this book. I absolutely love him. Dominic is struggling with taking on this criminal organization and having this new role and this new responsibility. And he's dealing with people sabotaging his business and sending threats, specific threats about June, and hinting towards it being related to what happened in the last book with her kidnapper, which is very interesting because they thought they eliminated that threat. He's trying to figure out who was the boss and who is the one that has the hit on her and wants to hurt her. He doesn't want anyone to know because he has a hard time trusting people, and he thinks that if any of the men in his organization or if June find out, then they will believe that he is incapable of being the boss and also protecting her, which I feel like it is interesting to see this thought process in him because it is showing a lot of vulnerability from him and showing a lot of his doubts. But I still feel like he could have done this all differently. He forced Cohen and Magnus to keep secrets from June and from Simon, and he alienated the woman he loved. It led her to being in a lot more danger. We get to see him struggle to understand that he can have both his organization and his relationship. He just needs to find the balance, and he needs to include her and not alienate her in order for it to work. Cohen is struggling because he thinks that he isn't good for June. He thinks that she's too good, too pure for him. I mean, she did some pretty intense things in the last book, and she does some pretty intense things in this book, most of which the guys don't actually know about until later on because she did it with Simon. He still sees her as the girl from their childhood who needed to be protected, kept in the dark from the cruelty of the world. He's angry because he also believes that he will never be what she needs and what she deserves, which leads him to think that he should leave her life again, after he makes sure she's safe, of course, which is dumb because all June has ever asked for is his time. All of them, that's all she's ever asked all of them for, is their time. She's already made it very clear that there's a darkness within her. They have seen it firsthand. I think they're trying to ignore it or trying to keep her from becoming like them, but she stuck around, which clearly meant she was not disturbed by their life, by their work, by what they do or how they act. And even if he does leave her, she still has two boyfriends, which are still criminals and still very dangerous men. So I don't know how he would think that he specifically is not good for her when the others are just as bad. So I get he's vulnerable there and he's struggling there. I just wish he would have seen that a bit quicker. He struggles with letting June see his true self, and it takes him a lot to realize that she will always love him no matter what. Magnus's struggles are definitely less intense than the rest of the characters. His struggle focuses more with the fact that he does not like lying to June. He thinks she should be kept in the loop. Lies only lead to pain, and it only leads to putting her in more danger. And while he is right, he is still forced to lie to her, and that has been really hard for him. He isn't around her because they have to work around the clock to figure out who the threat is and, eliminate them. And he also doesn't really want to be around her in some sense because he hates lying to her and he doesn't want to keep lying to her. So there's that struggle. He's afraid because he trusts her ability to handle their life and to handle the threats on her life, but he's afraid she won't stick around long enough if they keep pushing her away. That's his biggest struggle. He just wants to love her. He doesn't even care if Simon is with her. He doesn't even care if Simon ends up with her too. He just wants her happy, and he just wants her to stay with them, which is also really cute. That he's willing to do anything to make her happy. I can't talk too much about this book without giving away major spoilers. I feel like, as I said earlier, this book is just a walking spoiler. I feel like there's so many intense moments, so many emotional moments that I would want you to experience firsthand should you decide to read this. But I will say I was very suspicious of one particular character, and when I found out who was behind the attacks and the threats, I had to force myself not to scream "I knew it" to my Kindle in the hospital. And despite having those suspicions, I was still so shocked, and honestly I loved it. What I did not love was the reason behind the person's motives. I felt like there could have been maybe a better explanation to it or more addition to that motive. the main reason was kind of dumb. But I still loved the drama and the tear-jerking chaos and the heartbreak and just the stress. It was a lot. It was so good. Loved ones in danger or injured, emotions at an all-time high, not knowing where this relationship is going to go or who's going to survive. It was so much. It was a really good book. I think the ending was even more perfect than the last book because Simon is a part of it. I am definitely glad they find a way to incorporate him in the relationship, especially because I feel like Dominic and Cohen are very, very serious, and although they can have their cheeky moments, I think Simon and Magnus are definitely the more relaxed at times or have more humor. I think they lighten up the group. It's great. I love it. I can't get enough. While the steam is not as frequent in this book, it is definitely more intense. Definitely a lot more spicy. I like the ending. The only thing I don't like is Cora once again being left in the dark, and for June essentially becoming a shitty friend as time goes on. Overall, I can't decide which book I like better, the first or the second, but it did leave me feeling all types of emotions, and I am glad I read it. My favorite character in the book was Simon. We see a lot of his thoughts and his emotions. While I love the other men, even with their dumb choices, Simon truly has this massive heart, and it's only for June. Just like the other men, but I think he's willing to show it more in this book than the other men did, with everything they were going through. Although there is a part where a woman messages him, and I am curious as to who the woman was because it had like little hearts next to her name. So I wish there would have been a little elaboration just because I'm so damn nosy. But it wasn't really too much to dwell on because he has made it very clear that there has not been a single woman for him since meeting her, which is also very cute. I loved his loyalty to her, and I love that he was willing to jump in front of her to save her without a second thought. He would just do whatever it took to save her. My least favorite of the book. I hate to put any of the men in the bottom like that. But unlike Carter from the last book, I don't have that many outside characters to really look on. And I can't really say many outside characters without giving away the antagonist of the book. So I have to avoid that. So I will choose one of my men. They're not mine. Whatever. Shut up. And I think I would put Cohen in the bottom for this one. Only because he isn't really giving June credit or faith that she will accept him no matter what. He's very closed off. He's hardly ever home. He keeps pushing away from her. And I would argue that he's probably pushing her away even more than Dominic is. And Dominic's doing a pretty good job of pushing her away. So it's very confusing. They're kind of tied almost. I hate how he hates Simon to the point of letting it blind him to things. But he also realizes or thinks that Simon is the best for her, which again, Simon is also a criminal. I think he should understand that they could just put aside their differences and have a relationship. All of them. He's too much in his head to realize that June doesn't want to lose him. And then he accuses June of doing things that he has no right to accuse of and that she did not do. And then he'd ignore her and act like a jerk. And it was really heartbreaking for her. I think that was the worst of it because like he came at her like that. I still love him. But because of his explosive behavior, I will put him at the bottom just because I need somebody to put in my least favorite. He does have a nice redemption though, so I will forgive him. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. It had a lot of emotion, a lot of tension, plenty of build-up, and a slow burn with Simon that really just added to the appeal of the book. The redemption of her three men was very satisfying, and the ending was perfect. I only had my minimal complaints about Cora's treatment, the fact that I still don't know why Dominic was at that fighting ring, and the antagonist's reasoning for going after June. But other than that, the book was enjoyable. It was a quick read for me, and it is one of those things that I really enjoyed reading and that I'm hungry for more of it, but I don't think that we followed them anymore in the rest of the series. I believe the next one is the one that involves Cora, which is the one I have read before. So I am excited to reread it with all of the information I have from the past two books, because there were some things I was confused about when reading it because I was just missing some of the context, and I can't wait to reacquaint myself with her story. I do truly hope you guys read this series, and if you do, or if you have, please let me know. I'm curious to find people who also enjoy it or who want to read it. That is it for now. This is my review. Like the video, comment your thoughts, subscribe to show your support, and hit the notification bell to be informed every time I post a new video. And I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. you.